St. Louis has hosted many great sport teams over the year, many history-making plays in various stadiums. But what would these plays be without the amazing sportscasters making the game more exciting and enticing with every description? St. Louis has been the home of some of America's greatest sportscasters, and many of them are still active in the community today. Today, we will be casting their lives to you. Harry Carey was born in St. Louis March 1st, 1914. He went to the Sports Park Stadium to watch the National League's St. Louis Cardinals play for baseball. He tried to join the military but was rejected because he had bad eyesight. He turned to radio instead as a new vice. Still wanted to be a part of the sport, he of course casted baseball. He turned to the Cardinals. He thought the current Cardinals broadcaster was too boring, so he tried to get the job at KMOX. He was rejected initially and then went to Illinois, and then Michigan, and then came back to STL to host the show. In his own talk show, actually. In 1945, he was hired by KMOX to voice the Cardinals. He became very popular because of his intensity and genuine love for his job and the sport. He stayed with the Cardinals for 25 years. Missouri Sportscaster of the Year in 1959 and in 1960. He's in the National Radio Hall of Fame in 1990, and Carey was given his own star in the St. Louis Walk of Fame in 1993. Moving on to Jack Buck, he actually wasn't originally a St. Louisan. He was born in Holkey, Massachusetts on August 21st, 1924. His father's love for baseball stirred his desire to play professionally. Earl Buck was his father, managed a team out of Erie, Pennsylvania, and tried out for the New York Giants. He died when Jack was only 15. This had to end his dream of playing baseball to support his family. In 1942, he was drafted into World War II and fought in Europe. After the war, he enrolled as a student at Ohio State University. In 1948, he began working at a local radio station. After Buck called a college basketball game, one of his broadcasting professors told him, "You'd better find something else to do for a living." In 1954, Buck was hired by KMOX in St. Louis to be a member of a famous St. Louis Cardinals broadcasting team alongside Harry Carey. Buck was promoted to lead St. Louis Cardinals announcer in 1969. After every victory, and he also said, "Go crazy, folks!" He had many awards. In 1987, he received the Ford C. Frick Award for Excellence in Broadcasting. He was inducted in the National Radio Hall of Fame in 1995. And on August 20th, 1998, the city of St. Louis erected a bronze statue of Buck outside Busch Stadium. He retired from his job as the Cardinals' lead announcer in 2000. He unfortunately died on June 18th, 2002 at St. Louis. He did many community work, though, before he passed. He ended up raising $30 million for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. He helped support the St. Louis Backstoppers, which financially assists families of police officers and firefighters. He helped support the American Cancer Society and the Girl Scouts. And finally, St. Louis Citizen of the Year in 2000. But the Buck lineage doesn't stop there. Joe Buck, Jack Buck's son, was born April 25th, 1969 in St. Petersburg, Florida. He ended up making his way to St. Louis and going to St. Louis Country Day School. He went to college at Indiana University in Bloomington, and in 1989 he started his broadcasting career covering for minor league games in Louisville. In 1991, he began broadcasting for the Cardinals, local TV stations, and for KMOX. His popularity increased and moved away from local broadcasting. In 2008, he stopped broadcasting for the Cardinals altogether, first time since 1960 that a member of the Buck family had not been broadcasting for the St. Louis Cardinals. He got many awards. He received 7 Sports Emmy Awards from between 2000 and 2014 for play-by-play, and his favorite catchphrase was "Slam-a-lam-a-ding-dong." He did a lot of community work. Joe Buck Classic, which is a golf tournament. It hosts an STL, and it raises money that goes to St. Louis Children's Hospital.
The next announcer we're going to talk about today is Bob Costas. He was born March 22nd, 1952 in Queens, New York, and he went to high school at Comic High School South. For college, he went to Syracuse University, and in 1973 he began his career at WSYR TV and radio. He started broadcasting sports for the Syracuse Blazers minor league hockey, and in 1974 he starts doing play-by-plays on KMOX for the Spirit of St. Louis basketball team. He later started doing play-by-plays for the Missouri Tigers basketball team. After this, he joined NBC, primarily doing play-by-plays for the MLB and NBA. While at NBC, he also did coverage on boxing, golf, NFL, NASCAR, NHL, and thoroughbred racing. He did a lot of casting work for many Olympics held, including 1988 in Calgary, 1988 Seoul, Barcelona in 92, and all the way up until Rio in 2016. He received many awards, including 8 National Sportscaster of the Year awards. He's also in the Hall of Fame and well over 20 sports Emmys. He's the only TV person to win an Emmy for sports, news, and entertainment. He does lots of charity work, including Kids Rock Cancer in Maryville. An entire wing of Cardinal Glennon's Hospital is named after him. Our last announcer is Mike Shannon. He was born July 15th, 1939 in St. Louis, and he went to high school at CBC. While at CBC, he was the Missouri High School Player of the Year in both football and basketball his senior year, and he's the only athlete to have done this. He also went to college at Mizzou, and he left Mizzou in 1958 to play baseball professionally for the Cardinals. He began his big league career in 1962, and he played in 3 World Series for the Cards. He hit a game-tying 2-run homer off Whitney Ford in Game 1 of the 1964 World Series against the New York Yankees, which St. Louis won 9-5. Unfortunately, in 1970, Shannon contracted a kidney disease, nephritis, which ended his playing career. In 1971, however, he started his broadcasting career. He joined the Cardinals' promotional staff, and by 1972, he was moved to the team's radio booth. For almost 3 decades, Shannon was paired with the Hall of Fame announcer Jack Buck for the Cardinals radio network. He had things called Shannonisms, which were funny things he would say. Shannon received many awards, including he was named the St. Louis Ambassador's 1903 Sportsman of the Year. He was inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame in 1999. And in May 2013, Missouri Sports Hall of Fame named Shannon a Missouri sports legend. He's done a lot of community work, including he is the founder and chairperson of the CBC Mike Shannon charity event. He was the master of ceremonies for the Telethon of the Stars, and he was the champion for kids for the St. Louis Variety Club in 1996. At the end of the day, whether these announcers were born in St. Louis or not, we consider them some of the best to ever come out of our great city due to their memorable moments, or more importantly, sticking with and giving back to the city that loves them so much.
Go crazy!